So staying in Europe now, and the UK is now getting involved in Poland's attempts to secure its border with Belarus. This comes as thousands of migrants are trying to make their way into the EU. So Ian Lee is joining us once again with this story and other international headlines. Ian, good morning.
Good morning, Amory. Yeah, the UK is sending 150 Army engineers to help reinforce Poland's border. And they're being described by British officials as guys with diggers. And this comes as we hear more stories from migrants trying to reach Europe and how Belarus has helped them try to get there. Some talk about paying thousands of dollars for visas and plane tickets, and once in the country, how they're quickly taken toward Poland. Thousands of migrants now camp out in freezing cold temperatures along the heavily fortified border between the two countries. Polish forces have used water cannons and tear gas to stop them from crossing, while migrants have thrown rocks and other objects. Migrants say Belarus has been forceful in pushing them toward Europe in what the EU is calling a hybrid attack. But recently, Belarus has said it's starting to send some of the stranded migrants back home, but adds many are now refusing to leave. Let's move on to India now, where the Prime Minister has said he'll repeal 3 controversial farm laws, which were the source of massive protests around the country. The move by Narendra Modi come ahead of state elections. Farmers represent the biggest voting bloc in the country, with nearly 60% of the population involved in agriculture. The government said the laws were badly needed to help modernize the country's heavily regulated farm industry. But farmers believe they would be open to exploitation by large corporations while destroying their livelihoods. Next, we have some bad news out of Brazil. The Amazon rainforest has seen the worst levels of deforestation in 15 years. Brazil was one of a number of countries at COP26 that promised to end the practice and even reverse it by 2030. But a report found deforestation increased by 22% since last year. To give you an idea of just how big of an area that is, it's roughly the size of the state of Connecticut. Not only is the Amazon home to millions of plants and animals, it's also a vital carbon store that helps slow down the pace of global warming. Finally, with the upcoming Winter Olympics in Beijing, President Biden is considering a diplomatic boycott. If the U.S. goes ahead with the move, athletes will be able to compete, but all American dignitaries will be kept away. Now, traditionally, countries send high-level delegations to the Olympics. For example, First Lady Jill Biden led the American contingent to Tokyo for this year's Summer Games, but human rights organizations and even some members of Congress are calling for a tough stance against Beijing, the Beijing Games, which are set to kick off in February. Now, Amory, there is a number of reasons rights groups say countries should boycott the Olympics. First, you have the treatment of the Uyghurs in Western China. More than 1 million have been locked up in what Beijing calls education camps, but others concentration camps. A number of countries, including the U.S., have described the situation there as genocide. Of course, China denies all of this. The second reason is China's crackdown on freedoms in Hong Kong. Pro-democracy activists have been arrested, and many people now live in a state of fear after the city passed some draconian laws.
Yeah, there was some talk about whether or not Xi Jinping was going to outright invite President Biden to the Olympics, and then how would President Biden react, because he'd be put in sort of the middle of a rock and a hard place. That invitation did not come, but this move is sort of a way of being critical without, hurting the athletes who have spent, their entire lives trying to get themselves to the Olympic Games. Ian Lee, always a pleasure talking to you. Have a great weekend, Ian.
You too.